Hi, Srivatsan. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Sir, I'm writing the mains exam on the 26th evening shift, sir.
Mhm. That's
So,
what time? 2 to 5?
no, 3 to 6, I think. Yeah, 2 is the reporting time.
Okay. Reach there by 2:30. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
So,
saying?
yeah, sir. So, the last minute, what should I be doing right now, sir? For
Depends
math,
on your
especially.
preparation and your level of confidence, da. Like, you have a list of how well you are in each topic.
Yes, sir. So like, okay, to give you a brief idea, 12th math is pretty fine, sir. Not bad. I mean,
You
I'm
told me 11th math is your is a
yes,
thing
sir.
you're facing
11th
issues
math,
with.
some conics, some of circles I'm not able to solve some, sir. Then 3D I'm not doing well, sir. Oh, yeah, 3D in 12th I'm not doing well, sir.
So, 3D, I did the class yesterday and day before. Hmm.
I'll watch the recording, sir.
Okay, just watch the recording. You should be decent by that. And yeah, 3D, don't worry about it. It's not that tough once you get the idea. So please just watch the recording and get the idea at the earliest.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then what was the other chapter?
Conics only, sir. Conics I'm not able to solve, sir.
Conics, frankly, right now it's not a good time to, get tensed about it. But spend 2 days to like today, tomorrow, hmm, like
Yes,
with
sir.
extra emphasis on conics. Like, don't take it forward too much because there are a bunch of formulas which are the same for each conic. Okay. Hmm. So even how I taught you was like formula based, which I'm not very for. So what I did was because of lack of time, what I did was all of them have the same formula applied. So I wanted you to remember the formula that way. Hmm. So if you can
Yes.
remember the formula, that's one step ahead of a lot of people. Hmm. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So whatever formula you've shared, they're like basic level important. Hmm. Okay. So just do those formulas and get some practice with those formulas. That'll be best. Hmm.
Okay, sir.
So what I would suggest you do is do past year papers only right now. Hmm. Actually,
Even
okay,
Akash, sir, told, sir.
just do past year papers. You should be sorted because like how one gets better is by keeping on doing mock tests. Like I would suggest evening session you do mock test. Next day morning, what you do is sit and review the mock test. Like find out the mistake, find out the type of mistake you made. Hmm.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And then you can see the maximum possible marks you could have got. But
Hmm.
there's something called time management also, okay, within the section. Hmm. So you should learn
Hmm.
how to finish chemistry in less than 45 minutes, physics in less than 1 hour, and rest of the time for math because math will generally be lengthy and it won't be, what do you say, logical to finish it in 1 hour. I don't think generally math doesn't work like that. So physics and math, you'll have to be careful of the timing. Hmm. But
Yes, sir.
chemistry, you should be good enough to, finish it in around 45 minutes or lesser. Hmm.
All right, sir.
Right. So when you're doing chemistry, be at your peak, like because you are looking for efficiency also. Hmm.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Chemistry is
So
also scoring.
chemistry,
It's a scoring subject also.
it is supposed to be a scoring subject. Like when I wrote JEE, I didn't find chemistry to be scoring. Like, all right. So for
Yes, sir.
me, math was a scoring subject. So it depends on the person also. Person, the day, your luck at that time, everything is there. Hmm.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, but the objective of yours should be to finish chemistry. Like, like at least I would generally, my approach would have been to finish chemistry off first. Hmm. Like quickly
Hmm.
skim through the questions, do it in less than, like, if possible, ideally half an hour. Those questions without thinking twice. Those level of questions, you should finish the whole thing within half an hour. Physics, again, within 30, 35, 45 minutes. Maths also within 35, 45 minutes. And the remaining time, you go through the question paper again and see the questions you could have solved. Okay. Hmm.
Okay, so first you do the questions you already know, sir.
Exactly. Exactly. Like,
Yes, sir.
so that was my strategy. So I suggest you guys I think it'll work for everybody, but yeah, you have to try it out in mock test and then see which works best for you. And when you try it out in mock test, it doesn't mean one mock test you give one approach and leave it. 2 mock tests minimum. You have to give one approach, then 2 mock tests, another same approach, like that. You can change the order. But what I suggest is on the spot, you figure out which looks lengthy, which looks tough. So when you start, right, start with your easiest topic. Start with the topic you know. Start with the questions you know. This is something under your control. So that'll help you build your confidence. Because when you are in an exam hall, like end of the day, it's a confidence game. Okay, like subject is there, but to remember, recollect, and apply them calmly, it's a confidence game. Okay, so I would suggest start off with the topics you know, the questions you know, and then like later on, find the questions that you don't know and on. So that time will be hard work, but yeah. So I think just do mock tests. You do 30 mock tests for any test, you're kind of sorted actually.
Can we like in the first 1 hour of the exam, can we like just search for all the easy questions in all the 3 subjects, or else should we go subject wise, sir?
No, you don't need 1 hour for that. You have to skim through the questions. Okay.
Sir, okay,
All
sir.
right.
I'm talking about attempting all those questions, not only.
Yes. I attempt the easy questions. Yes. But
Sir, you can
um,
shift between the subjects now,
it,
sir. Or else, like, should we?
yes, you can shift between the subjects, but the problem is you have to keep clicking. So that's why I suggest like take one subject, click within that one subject. Okay. Play around within that one subject. Okay. So first read the question paper. Take 5 minutes out. Read the entire question paper. Just go through it. See questions that you know. Mark questions that you might want to answer. At least their page numbers. Okay. Once you mark the question numbers, then start applying left, right, center. So I think you can code questions, like color code questions. So you decide one color is for easy, one color is for medium. And if I'm not touching it, it means like I'm waiting for a good time to look at the answer, to figure the answer out. Right. So like that, you mark the questions quickly. Your first skim should be like that. Once you color code the questions, then what do? Go to the easy, start answering all of them at the fastest pace you can, because they are your strong topics, and that is where you will gain leverage in the exam. Okay. So get the easy questions done, then the medium, then the hard. Okay, that's what I would suggest. But it depends on your style here, like how you do it. At the end of the day, there's no fixed method. This is how you write the exam. Okay. Some of you prefer to do one subject at a time and slowly from the first question to the last. But I wouldn't suggest you do that, because you're depending on, like, what if they give the first question to be the toughest? You should be nimble enough to move on to the next question if you're not getting it. If you're stuck midway, do the calculation till halfway and then stop. Wherever you're stuck, just stop and then move on to the next question. Because as with time, as you solve more and more questions, as you get rid of the easy questions, medium questions, then there's a higher chance that your subconscious will work on the previous questions. Okay. So you look at it again, maybe you'll get a different approach because it's already half solved. Things like that. So this is what I did. So this is not what I would suggest you to do. Do mock tests, figure out your strategy on your own. That is what I would suggest. Okay. Yeah, let's begin today's class. But this is not really statistics. That's not how we are starting it with. We're starting with Bernoulli's styles. Okay, please write the notes. Each time we toss a coin, roll a dice, perform an experiment, we'll call it a trial. Okay. You toss a coin, roll a dice, or perform any such experiment. You call it a trial. The outcome of any trial, is independent of the outcome of any other trial. The outcome of any trial is independent of the outcome of any other trial. In each of such trials, the probability of success or failure remains constant. In each trial, the probability of success or failure remains constant. Such independent trials. Are you with me, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and read again. Each time we toss a coin, roll a die, perform an experiment, we call it a trial. Outcome of any trial is independent of the outcome of any other trial. In each such trial, probability of success or failure remains constant. Such independent trials, which have only two outcomes, is usually referred to as success or failure. Okay, so there will be only two possible outcomes. Such trials are called Bernoulli's trials. Okay, so the events are independent of each other. The probability of success, probability of failure remains constant throughout. Okay. So if probability of success is taken as P, then Bernoulli's trials are denoted by V and P, where N is the number of times the experiment is repeated. Okay. Okay. So in an exam of 10 multiple choice questions, so here one or more correct out of 5. Out of 4. A student decides to mark the answers at random. Student decides to mark answers at random. Find the probability he gets exactly 2 questions correct. So there are 10 questions. Okay, so answering one question is an event. Are you following, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thing is, each event can either be true or false. True or false. As in correct or wrong, correct or wrong, correct or wrong. Okay. So success is the event that the question is answered correctly, and failure is the event it is incorrectly answered. Okay. So find the probability of success first. So one question, there are 4 options, right? Okay. So probability of success is what we'll try to figure out first. Okay, so that is equal to P. And how do I find that? So this is a one or more correct answer. So if only one is correct, then there are 4 C1 possibilities, right? A, B, C, D. There are 4 options from which I pick one in 4 C1 ways. If exactly 2 are correct, like A and B are correct, C and D are correct, A and D are correct. So 4C2 ways. Exactly 3 are correct. That's also possible in 4C3 ways. And all 4 are correct in 4C4 ways. So total possibilities, total ways of getting things correct would be 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 1, 15. Okay. There are 15 possibilities for answers for a multiple choice question. Okay. Understood? With one or more correct, there'll be 15 possibilities. Any doubts here? So from these 15, okay, so from these 15 possibilities, only one is correct. So the probability of success is basically 1 by 15. Now you understand why you should never guess a multiple choice question, right? If there is a negative mark, as in one or more correct. Okay, so now probability of failure. Okay, will be, I'll call it Q. You can write it as 1 minus P, which is 14 by 15. Now, we have to find the probability he gets exactly 2 questions correct. How do we do that? So, that was, so probability of getting exactly R correct is 10 questions, NCR, P per R, Q per 10 minus R. Do you understand what happened here? Probability of getting exactly R correct. So suppose he gets the first 2 correct. So which means first 2 will be applied probability P, then the rest 8 should be having probability Q, which is 1 minus P. Okay. Then there are other possibilities also. Suppose he took the 3rd one correct and the 7th one correct, which means the remaining are wrong. Okay. Okay, guys, this much you understood? What are the different cases? So, how many ways can he pick the correct questions? Right. So, from these 10 questions, he picks R. R should be correct. So, from 10 questions, he picks R of them. Now, attempting each of the questions, what will happen? Like each question, there'll be correct or wrong. 2 of them will be correct. Sorry, R of them will be correct. 10 minus R will be wrong. Okay. So, for the correct ones, he's applying probability P. And for the wrong ones, you're applying probability Q. And these are the different cases. 10 CR number cases are there. Okay. Basically, from the 10, you pick R that are correct. That's the idea. We're getting this?
Yes, sir.
Guys, rest of you?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, in this question, this becomes 10C2 T square Q per 8. So, 10C2 1 by 15 square 14 by 15 per 8. Got this? Okay, this is exactly 2 correct. Replace R with 2 here. Shall we move on to our next question? A family has 3 children. Write this down. A family has 3 children. Event A is that the family has at most 1 boy. Event B is that the family has at least 1 boy and 1 girl. Event C is that the family has at most 1 girl. Find whether A and B are independent. A and B are independent. Okay, also find whether A, B, C are independent or not. That's your homework question. Okay. Also find whether A, B, and C are independent or not. The probability of a boy is 1 by 2. Probability of girl is also 1 by 2. Okay. We'll be using this here. Probability of A having at most 1 boy. Okay, so what are the different possibilities for 3 children? There can be 3 girls. There can be 2 boys, 1 girl, 1 boy, 2 girls, and 3 boys. Okay, so you pick either of these as success and the other one as failure. So one of them will be P the other one will be Q. Okay. All right. So you pick anything you want as success. So whatever you're trying to find, in that you'll have to put. So right now we'll take probability of girl being success. So here in this case, you will get from the three, you select all the three which are girls, and then each of them have probability of being a girl 1/2. Okay. And then this for the boys, this is implied. So 3C1, 1/2 square, 1/2, 1. 3C2, 1/2 square, 1/2, 1. 3 by 3C0, 1/2 per 0, 1/2 cube. So here you get 1/8. Here you get 3/8. Here you get 3/8. And here you get 1/8. Add all of them. Are you getting 1? Then it's verified. Okay. These are all the possible cases. These are the probabilities for each of those cases. When you add all of them up, you should get 1. That's happening, right? You get it as 8/8 total. Okay. Now what is being asked here? Guys, are you with me till here?
Whether A and B are independent.
Yeah. So A is what? At most 1 boy. Probability of A. At most 1 boy. So at most 1 boy is what? 0 girls is 0 boys is there and 1 boy is there. These two cases. So that's 1/8 plus 3/8 equal to 4/8, which is 1/2. Then what is B? At most 1 boy and 1 girl, right? At most 1 boy and 1 girl. Okay. So at least 1 boy and 1 girl. So these two cases, the middle two cases, right? At least 1 boy and 1 girl. So that will be 3/8 plus 3/8. Now even C is equal to 6/8, which is 3/4. Even C is what? At most 1 girl. So that will be same as at most 1 boy only, because you can see symmetry here. Okay. Now, how do you check if it's independent? Probability of A intersection B should be probability of A into probability of B. Okay. Now, what does this become? Probability of A intersection B. A is at most 1 boy and at least 1 boy and at least 1 girl. A and B. At most 1 boy. Okay. And
That
at
1/2 girls should be taken as.
sorry.
So should we take that 1/2 girl case as the A intersection?
I didn't understand, Varun. Can you please explain again? 1/2?
Where like so no for the A intersection B, should we take the case 1/2 girl that thing as the bra?
Correct. It's this case. 1/2 girl. That is this case alone for A intersection B. What you said is correct only. Okay, so this becomes 3/8. Now, P of A into P of B is 1/2 into 3/4. Okay, you can see that they are equal. So which means A and B are independent. Okay. Similarly, you have to check for A intersection B intersection C. That's your homework. Okay, it should be equal to P of A into P of B into P of C for them to be independent. Okay. So please do this in your spare time. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. So, how many times must a person toss a fair coin such that probability the probability of having at least one head is greater than 90%. The probability of having at least one head, you know, is already 1 minus probability of having no head, right? In n trials. Okay. So we are looking for the case where 1 minus probability of having no head in n trials is greater than 90%, right? Probability of having no head is 1 minus NC0 into 1 by 2 power 0 into 1 by 2 power n. Getting this? What is this? Head is, you're taking head as success here. Okay, so number of ways are the probability of getting 0 successes is like this. 0.9. I can say that NC0 into 1 by 2 power n. NC0 is 1. 1 by 2 power n is greater than 0.1. Here I can say that 2 power n is lesser than 1 by 0.1, which is 10. Here I can write it as you can figure out n right from here. N is greater than or equal to 4 here. Got this? When is equal to 3, then this is true. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Okay, this is less than 0.1.
It will be a sign change.
Yeah, sign changes. Get n greater than or equal to 4. I just knew that 2 power something should be greater than 10, so that means n should be greater than 4. Any doubts here? Okay. Then there is a mean and variance of mean is NP, variance is NPQ. Just remember this. Okay. And do this question. Pair of dice is thrown 4 times. If getting a total of 9 is considered a success, total equal to 9 in a single throw. Success. Find mean and variance. So there are 4 trials. Okay. So pair of dice is there. So sum has to be 9, which means there are a few possibilities. What are they? 3, 6, 6, 3, 5, 4, 4, 5. So these 4 options are the 4 ways are there in which 4 out of 36 ways probability of success. Okay. E will be 1 by 9. So this is success. So Q will be 8 by 9. Okay. N is equal to 4 here. What is the mean? Mean in the sense expected value. Okay. That is N into P. Mean is N into P, which is 4 into 1 by 9. All right. And what about the variance? Guys, you've done statistics before, right? In 11th.
Yes, sir.
Variance is NPQ, which is 4 by 9, which is NP. into Q, which is 8 by 9. So it is 32 by 81. That's it. Finding the
But I don't think you have done it like based on NP and NPQ. They'll just give one table in XI and FI and then ask us to find the variance standard deviation.
that mostly won't come for JEE, so I don't think any need, sir. The school exam
Yes.
it might come, JEE and all it won't come. But you understand the basics of that, right? That is enough. Worst case, they'll ask something like that. The basics are enough. Now, probability distribution.
Sir,
Yes,
so here n is the number of times the
number of
dice
trials.
have been thrown.
Correct, correct, correct.
Yes.
E of x is basically expected value of this random variable. Okay, random variable x. Now, this is given by sigma xi pi. Okay, I goes from 1 to n towards all the trials. Okay, so then variance. Just remember these formulas here. Variance would be expectation of x square minus expectation of x, like the mean of x and mean of x square, the whole square. Okay. So E of x square will be what, guys? E of x square, it will be nothing but x square I into pi. Okay, don't forget this. Now, standard deviation is given by sigma for this random variable x, which is square root of the variance of x. Okay, please remember this. Expectation of x is basically the mean only. All right. You add all x APIs together.
So this formula only we learned, sir. But
Yeah,
instead
I'm
of
sure.
E of x, we directly wrote xi phi.
Yeah, but this is easy to remember, at least for me. So that's why I'm reading it to you like this. So let's do one question. A class has 15 students. A class has 15 students whose ages are 14, 17, 15, 14, 21, 17, 19, 20, 16, 18, going on 20, 17, 16, 19, and 20 years. Okay, their ages are like this. Now, one student is selected. Have you written the numbers down?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One student is selected in such a way that each has the same chance of being chosen, and age x and age x of the selected student is recorded. Okay, one student is selected at random and his age is recorded basically. What is the probability distribution of random variable x? What is the probability distribution of random variable x? How do you draw the probability distribution? So x is the age of the students, right? So write the smallest first, 14. Like basically write all of them. 14, there are 2 of them. Okay. So PI is there. So how many digits did I give to you guys? How many are there? The 15 students, right? So 14 is there. One second. Okay, then 15. There'll be how many? There'll be 1. 16. There'll be 2. 17. There'll be 2. 18. There's 1. 19. There's 1. 20. There's 2. And 21. There is 20. There's 3. And 21. There's 1. Okay. There is 5, 9, 10, and 13. Did we miss out anything?
Seventeen. There's 3, sir.
Huh?
317, sir.
3 17s were there.
Yes, sir.
Yo, sorry. Okay. Now I get 5, 8, 9, 10, and 14. One more is missing, huh? Oh, there's 1 more 19 here. Ayo. Okay.
Yes, sir. 190.
Okay. All right. So probability of 14 is basically 2 by 15. Probability of random variable being 15 is 1 by 15. This is 2 by 3 by 15, 1 by 15. So this is the probability distribution. That's it for random variable. So whenever the variable takes any value like this, the probability for that will be like this. You just do the probability distribution. Understood? Okay. Probability of random variable x being equal to xi. That's the idea. That is what I've written on here. Okay, and then just check for probability distribution. Is the sum of all this coming to 1? Is it? Yes, because that's why I added up and checked if it was coming to 15. Understood? Basically, that's what happened. Okay, then find E of x. Find mean, variance, and standard deviation. Find mean, variance, and standard deviation. You can do this quickly. Equation of x would be like the average value of capital X you're expecting. That is it. Basically what is happening. Okay, that's 14 into 2 by 15 plus 15 into 1 by 15 and so on. Don't need to calculate it right now. Okay. Okay, 14 into 2 by 15, 15 into 1. Okay, should we calculate it or not? I don't think it's required. Okay. Then to find the variance, you need to find Ex square. So that is 14 square into 2 by 15 plus 15 square into 1 by 15 and so on. Okay, you're finding the expected value of x squared. So you take this Ex squared and subtract E of x, the whole square, you get something called as the variance. Okay, this is the variance, and square root of variance is standard deviation. You can do this on your own, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'll give you another example question. A purse contains 4 coins each, of which is either a rupee or 2 rupee coins. Find the expected value of coins in that purse. Expected value of a coin in the purse. What do you do here? Purse contains 4 coins. Okay, it's either 1 rupee or 2 rupee. So suppose it was 4 1 rupee. So here, so we'll find the expected value of the coins in that purse first. Okay, and then divide it by 4 to find the expected value of a coin in the purse. Are you following? Okay. We will find the expected value of coins in the purse and then find this. Okay. All right. So how many possibilities are there, guys? It's 1 rupee or a 2 rupees. Suppose there are 4 1 rupees or 3 2 rupees. Like this, how many possibilities will be there? There will be 16 possibilities, right? Everything is either 1 rupee or 2 rupee for these 4 places. Okay, 2 per 4, which is 16. So this can happen in 1 by 16 ways. Then you have 3 1 rupee and 1 2 rupee. This happens in how many ways, guys? So the total value of the coins in that would be 3 plus 2, which is 5. So here, EIXI will be 4 by 16. Next is 2 1 rupee and 2 2 rupee. So here that becomes total 6. And this happens in how many ways? 2 1 rupee, 2 2 rupee. Two, like 4 items, 2 of the same kind. How many ways can you arrange them? 6 ways. Okay, so 6 by 16. Next, we have 3 2 rupee and 1 1 rupee. Okay, so that makes the sum 7. So here this happens in 4 by 16 ways. And then 4 2 rupees. It happens in 1 by 16 ways, and the total here will be 8. So these are the possibilities. Expected value of x, xi. Expected value of x would be 4 by 16 plus 20 by 16 plus 36 by 16, 28 by 16 plus 8 by 16. What does that come up to? Something by 16 for sure. 12 plus 28 is 40, 60, 96. 96 by 16 is nothing but 6. So the expected value of the total number of the 4 coins in that purse would be 6. Okay. It should make common sense to you, right? Basically, it's either a 1 rupee coin or a 2 rupee coin. So anything is equally possible. So you can expect each coin to be a 1.5 rupee coin, basically. Okay. But I'm showing you the calculation, how it works. So 4 coins are there. You expect the same thing for the 4 coins. Basically, this comes out to 6 rupee value for the purse. And expected value of a coin. This is expected value of 4 coins. Value of a coin. So this is for 4 coins. You divide by 4, you get 1.5 as the expected value of a coin. Are you understanding both the logics?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Basic level statistics and then are done. Okay. So you guys know what median is, right? Median and mode, just in case they ask. What is median?
Middlemost value, sir.
Exactly. You arrange everything in ascending or descending order and you take the middlemost value. Okay. So for median, if you have 10 elements or say 5 elements, okay, 1, 6, 2, 8, 3. How do you find the median? Median here will be middle term, right? Guys, what will the median be?
Yes, sir. The middle term.
Middle term. This is wrong. It is the middle term, but once you put it in ascending order, 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. Okay, then the middle term is what you take. Okay. So if there were an even number of terms, what do you do? So suppose there's one more term, 9. Now what do you do? Average of the middle 2 terms. Okay. 3 plus 6 by 2. All right. Understood?
Yes.
What about mode? Most
Most
frequently.
repeating element.
Correct. The element with the most amount of frequency. Okay. Now, all right. So suppose you have some quantities xi, x1, x2, all the way up till xn. Okay. The quantity. This is the mean. Mean is x bar or e of x. Then you have median. You call it x. And you have mode. Call it xm. Then mean deviation. You know what deviation is, right? X minus x bar. X minus x bar. You take it under the modulus. X minus the mean for each element. That is the deviation. So, like you have roll of a die 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, these are the possibilities. Now we know that the mean here will be what? 3.5, right? 3.5 is the mean here. So the deviation of this element 1 from the mean would be what? Mod of 1 minus 3.5. That is 2.5. It just shows how away it is from the middle value. Understand? Mean deviation. Okay. So that is mean deviation. So this we'll take it as MD. Then there is variance. Variance is another version of mean deviation, basically, right? Sigma square. Then standard deviation. I will call it sigma. So standard deviation. Look, guys. Statistics is very useful once you get out of school. Frankly, right now you're doing it for the marks. But their variance, standard deviation, and all is very useful. Like for a curve and all, you can decide, okay, this lies this much away from the mean, this lies this much away from the mean. So the probability of this happening, you can quickly calculate. Okay, variance. Like, all right. This explanation is not really required for variance and standard deviation, but you understand what it is. Mean deviation, variance, and standard deviation. They basically calculate the dispersion away from the mean, something like that. Okay. Mean deviation is a very direct calculation, but then variance and standard deviation are better outputs. Okay. They calculate it better. Now, okay. So this is the base. Now let's start. Now, to each element, I add some constant b. Okay. All the way up till xn plus b. What happens to the mean? What happens to the mean? Mean also has b added to it, right? Okay. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about the median? Median will also have b added to it. What about the mode? The most repeated term is also having b added to it. Okay. Got this?
Yes.
Okay. What about the mean deviation? Mean deviation.
Plus B, sir.
It remains the same. Sorry, what did you say?
So I said plus B.
No, not plus b. It remains the same because you take any x value here. So that will be, for example, x1 plus b. And from there, you subtract the mean here. The mean is x bar plus b. So when you subtract, this becomes minus b. Plus b minus b cancels out. You get the same thing. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So you get this as the mean deviation. Mean deviation, another form is variance. Variance remains the same. Standard deviation also remains the same. Any doubts here? So how do you find variance, guys? It's sigma. 1 by n into mean deviation squared, right? All right. So remember that. That's how we find variance. Now, if I multiply it by a constant a, ax1, ax2, ax3 up till axn, what happens here? The mean is also multiplied by a, right? Same for the median, same for the mode. This is self-explanatory, right? For mean, median, mode. Guys, are you following what's happening or not?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay, so mean deviation will be mod A into MD, into the mean deviation. Understand why? Just put it here.
A
AX1,
common, sir.
yeah, A will come out common, but we don't know if A is positive or negative, so we put a mod outside. Mean deviation, variance, standard deviation, and all are positive values. Okay. Now, variance, what about the variance? Mod A square into MD. And standard deviation is mod A into, not MD, into the previous variance. Standard deviation is mod A into the previous standard deviation. So now if you do one transformation like this, you multiply everything with A and then add B to it. What happens here? Mean becomes AX bar plus B. Median becomes A capital X plus B. Mode becomes AXM plus B. Mean deviation, what happens to that? It becomes mod A into MD. This becomes mod A square into sigma square. This is mod A into sigma. Okay. Understood this? I don't think you need to remember this as such. Just understand this table. That's all.
Sir, so what you need to remember is xi minus x bar. That formula, if you remember, you'll be able to do this, sir.
Yeah, that's for median. That's for median. Just think like this, yeah. Like, if I multiply by a constant, once again. So there are a bunch of values which go like this, suppose. Okay, this is the frequency of each. Now, if I multiply each term by a constant, what happens? Its value simply increases, right? That's all. Its value changes. So the mean also changes by that same value, whether it's plus B or multiplying by A. Understanding?
Yes, sir.
Same goes for the median and mode. But when it comes to the dispersion, okay, so just because I added a term to each part doesn't mean the dispersion changes one bit, right? Okay, so that is what I'm saying. By adding, you still get MD, sigma square, and sigma. But when you multiply each term by something, what will happen is that the graph scale changes. It might be like this, or it might be like this. Okay, so you can see that the deviation, the dispersion is also affected. Okay, when you multiply by a constant. Okay, each term, if you multiply by a constant, its dispersion also gets affected. Either it gets wider or it gets narrower. When you add something, what happens? It just moves somewhere else. So the mean also moves somewhere else like that. But when you multiply something, you can see the dispersion also changing. Understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's how this works. Okay. Let's do some previous JEE questions. Okay. Okay, so previous JEE questions are damn funny. Check it out. Just tell me the answer, okay? I'll read it out. All the students of a class perform poorly in math. The teacher decides to give grace marks of 10 to each of the students. This happened in mains 2013, okay? All the students of a class perform poorly in math. Teacher decides to give grace marks of 10 to each of the students. Which of the following statistical measures will not change even after the grace marks are given? All right? Okay. Did you understand the question? Got the context?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So everybody did some badly, and then somebody adds like 10 questions, 10 marks each to each of them. Okay. So which of the following will not change after the grace marks are given? A, median. B, mode. C, variance. D, mean. What is the
Variance.
answer?
Variance.
Variance. That's it. 4 marks. IDJE. Well done. Okay. Next question. Okay, just watch it. Like writing, I think would be a waste of time for you. X bar, M, sigma square are mean, median, and variance of n observations. X1, X2, up till Xn, and Di is Xi minus A. Okay. Di is minus Xi minus A, sorry. Minus Xi minus A, where A is any number. Statement 1 is that variance of D1, D2, D3 up till Dn is sigma square, and as statement 2 is mean and mode. Okay, M is mode, okay, not median. M is mode here. Sorry. So this is mode of D1, D2, Dn are minus X bar minus A and minus M minus A respectively. So option A is S1, S2 false. Okay. S1 false, S2 false. Option B is S1 true, S2 true. Option C, S1 true, S2 false. D, S1 false, S2 true. Okay, which of these are
Both
correct?
are,
Huh?
both are true, sir.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Correct. Correct. Mean and median also changes like this. Correct. Mean and mode changes like this. And variance is sigma square. Okay. Guys, all of you got this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In main 14, they asked 2 questions from statistics. Okay. This is the second one coming your way. So let X bar and MD be mean and mean deviation. Okay. For X bar of mean deviation about X bar for n observations Xi, where I goes from 1 to n. Okay. It goes from 1 to n. If each of the observations is increased by 5, then the new mean and mean deviation are R. If each of the observations are increased by 5, find the new mean and the new mean deviation. What is it? Tell me the answer, guys.
X bar plus 5 and mean deviation remains the same.
Huh?
The
And
mean deviation remains the same.
correct. That's it. That's it. JE 2014, you have 8 marks. Okay. This is too easy, right? Suspiciously easy. See if I have more previous problems. Okay, try this. If the mean deviation of the numbers 1, 1 plus d, all the way up till 1 plus 100d is 255. Mean deviation about their mean is 255. Find d. There are 4 options, but I don't want to give 4 options. Come on, do this. What do you do first? You find the mean, right? 1 plus 1 plus d plus
Sir,
1
is
plus
it
2.
2.55?
Value of d, yeah?
Yes, sir.
No, it's not 2.55. The studio all the way up till 1 plus 100d divided by number of terms, which are 101. There are 101 terms here. So, what is this? This is nothing but an AP, right? Sum of an AP. You know the sum of an AP formula? There are 101 terms here. Then 1 terms here divided by 2. First term plus last term, which is 2 plus 100d divided by 101. You get this 1 plus 50d. This will be x bar. Now, to find the mean deviation, what do I do? Mod of xi minus x bar for each of these. Okay. All right, for each of these terms. So 1 minus 1 plus 50d becomes minus 50d. But since we are taking mod, it looks like this 50d. Same you do for the next term, you get 49d, you get 48d, all the way up till 0. Because in between there will be a term called 1 plus 50d. And then what happens? 1 plus 51d minus 1 plus 50d is d itself. You take the modulus of that, you still get d, 2d, all the way up till 50d. Okay, till the last term. This is the sum of all parts here. Okay. Okay, so mean deviation. What is mean deviation? Mean deviation is the average of all these, right? The average of all these 101
By
terms.
101.
So you sum all of this. So basically 2 into, so twice everything is happening. D plus 2d plus 3d. So d is also common. So 2d into 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus up till 50, right? So this can be taken as 50 into 51 by 2, n into n plus 1 by 2. And you divide it by the total number of terms, which is 101. Correct, no?
Is equal to 255.
This is equal to 255. We see 51 and 255. So you get 5 here. 5 and 50 gives 10 here. 2 and 2 cancels out. D becomes 101 by 10, which is 10.1. Right? Are you following? Do you have any doubts? So this was 2016 JE question. Just need to know what mean deviation was. That's it. Yeah, rest is sequence series AP. Guys, any doubts here? So let's start the next question, guys. Variance of first 50 even natural numbers. Okay, please find the variance of the first 50 even natural numbers. Come on. First 50 even natural numbers will be 2, 4, 6, 8, all the way up till 100. Okay. How do you find the variance? Expectation of x square minus expectation of x. These are all the x's. So first find expectation of x. How do you get that? Sum of all this divided by 50. Okay. How do we add all this? 102 by 2. How many terms are there? There are 50 terms. Okay, so this is the sum. So this is the sum. You have to divide by the total number of terms here, which is 50. So you get this as expected value will be 51. Okay. So now you have to find expectation of x square. How do we do that?
Sir, in the formula, it's e of x whole square.
No, yeah, but okay. Oh yeah, correct. Thank you. I missed that. Yeah. So 2 square is 4, 4 square is 16, 6 square is 36, and so on up till 100 square divided by 50. So this becomes 4. I'll take 4 common from everything. And then divide by 50 will remain there. Then you get 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square all the way up till 50 square. Okay. So this becomes 2 by 25. Then you have sum of the first 50 squares, n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6. So 2 and 6 cancel out to give 3. 3 and 51 cancel out to give 17. What else remains? 25 and 50. Yeah, of course, that's 2. 34 into 101 will become 3434. Okay. So my variance will be 3434 minus 51 square. Minus 51 square. How do you find 51 square? (51 minus 26 minus 25 is 26, and 1 square is 01. So you get 2601, 3434, and then 833 is the variance. Guys, do you know this technique? How to find the square of a 2-digit number first?
Yes, sir. You taught in the first class, sir.
Okay, so okay, got this? All right, so let's end class early. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
No doubt, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ask. What are your doubts?
So how did you find E of x?
E of x, huh? So you know the meaning of E of x, right? Expected values of x. So that means it's the average. So E of x was for 2 plus, so you're taking the average, 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus all the way up till 100. divided by number of terms, which is 50. How did I find the sum? This is an AP here, arithmetic progression. So how do you find the sum of an AP? The number of terms, which is 50, by 2 into first term plus last term. That is where 102 came. 50 and 50 cancel out. 2 and 102 cancel out. I got 51.
Yes, sir, got it.
Similarly, E of x squared is the average of all x squares. Okay, expected value of x squared. That is what it is. Okay. Guys, do you have any doubts? Please ask. No doubts, sir? Not regarding this chapter in particular, like any chapter. If you want to discuss some problems or something, please ask. And that's it, guys. Class is done. Take care. See you in the next class.
Thank you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Thank you.